Expedition 33 is an exceptional video game, one that undoubtedly will be remembered for its innovative take of blending old school and new school turn-based into one unique cohesive experience, an evocative soundtrack, a stellar cast of voice talent, and above all, a powerful, emotionally resonant story. This video will focus on unpacking that story, exploring the narrative depth, central themes, and emotional weight that defines Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Be warned, this video will be a full deep dive into the game's story, and as such, major spoilers lie ahead. If you are looking for a spoiler-free review, well, I've done one of those before and I've linked that down below. Now, with that being said, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 presents itself as a story about grief, how it consumes, shapes, and divides us, how it can consume us. But if you look closer, you'll find that at its core, it's a story about something even more profound: the act of letting go. The struggle to move forward even when the past refuses to release its grip, or your grip on the past. There's a line spoken early in the game by Lune to Gustave: "When one falls, we continue." Another line repeated by several characters is "Tomorrow comes." On the surface, these may seem like mantras of survival, a call to endure, a commitment to a mission. But beneath that, they speak to something deeper: the human need to find peace, to carry loss with us, and still to choose to keep going. So here we go, let's get into my video unpacking Clair Obscur Expedition 33, the ability to let go. The first theme worth exploring is how Expedition 33 examines memory, love, and loss, and how these elements reflect a broader struggle for perseverance. The world of Expedition 33 is defined by pain and hardship, yet beneath its surface lies a deeper, existential question. What does one do when faced with a finite amount of time? How does the knowledge of death shape the choices one makes? In Lumiere, you'll encounter characters who respond to this reality in different ways. Some embrace life and seek meaning in everyday interactions, whilst others dedicate themselves to the cause, joining the expedition in a fight that is both noble and harrowing. Each expeditioner carries the burden of memory. These memories of a lost loved one, fractured pasts that all fuel their resolve. Whether it is Ciel mourning her husband, Lune recalling her parents and wanting to strive for knowledge, or Maelle reminiscing on Gustave and the personal loss that have all shaped each character's identity. The ghosts of those they've lost become their guiding force, a quiet yet powerful motivation in a world otherwise that feels hopeless. The unrelenting nature of this world is communicated not just through combat, but through the environmental storytelling and scattered journal logs. These fragments paint vivid portraits of previous expeditions, their intentions, their strategies, and ultimately their downfalls. Reading them, one uncovers the fleeting humanity behind each mission, what drove these individuals forward, and what truths they found in their final moments. There is also something strikingly beautiful in the way Expedition 33 weaves artistic motifs into its world building and design. The gesturals, with their puppet-like forms, invoke the look of wooden mannequins, whilst the Nevroms resemble fragile glazed ceramics. This art-inspired elements are more than just aesthetic, they are embedded into the very fabric of the game's atmosphere and more deeper themes. Where Expedition 33 most profoundly draws on artistic reference points, however, is in its environments. The game contrasts brightly lit spaces like Lumiere, radiating with warmth, hope, and optimism, with the dark, war-torn battlefields where light struggles to pierce through the gloom. These environmental contrasts serve as a symbolic purpose. The light, however faint, represents a resilience, a reminder that even in desolation, the impulse to continue remains. No matter how dim the world becomes, we continue. Altogether, Expedition 33 builds on a world where the odds are not just high, they are rigged against you, and yet the game offers something deeply human: the will to persist in the face of certainty. It's in this resistance against all logic and all fate that the most profound theme of the game truly starts to emerge. The next major theme, often perceived as the emotional core of Expedition 33, is grief. While some may see it as just one facet of the narrative, it is in fact the through line that ties together the game's many stories, themes, and character arcs. It walks in lockstep with the game's deeper meditations on memory, time, loss, and ultimately is the crescendoing theme that ties to the core crux of this video, letting go. But more on that later. Grief is introduced early in Act 1, where it manifests in the quiet despair of the expeditioners. They move forward, burdened by memory of lost loved ones, the futility of the mission, and the overwhelming sense that they are living on borrowed time. Yet grief doesn't really take shape fully until the end of Act 1, aka the start of Act 2, with the sudden and irreversible loss of Gustave, the character who had been framed as the main protagonist throughout this game's marketing. This narrative pivot isn't just shocking, it's personal. For the first time, the player feels the same loss the characters feel. It's a shared grief, and it reshapes the emotional stakes moving forward and the landscape of the narrative. By Act 3, the true scope of grief comes into full focus. We learn that Lumiere and the surrounding continent are a result of a supernatural act, a painted world brought into existence by Renoir and Aline's deceased son, Verso, the character we had been playing as, who was filling in as that protagonist for Gustave. The Desandra family possesses a unique ability, the power to paint reality into being, effectively turning raw emotion into living memory. And at the heart of this is Aline. Aline embodies the depths of unresolved grief. From the game's cover art to the distant towering monoliths seen throughout the early acts, her presence is inescapable. She resides in the world her own son created, a world frozen in time, clinging to the final traces of her lost child. Her sorrow has led her to preserve the painted reality, resisting the natural order of life and death. Her son is gone, and she is there to mourn and cling to this pastime, this memory of his. This act of preservation sets off a chain reaction. Renoir, her husband, enters the canvas as well, leading to a metaphysical battle between the desire to let go and the desperation to hold on. This creates the tug-of-war that is the gommage, the death of the expeditioners every single year. It's Renoir's ability to want to just get rid of the canvas, wipe the slate clean, and get Aline out and back into the real world. It's an emotional conflict between two grieving parents that drives the overarching story of Expedition 33. The struggle between Aline and Renoir is not just a war of ideals, it's a manifestation of grief itself. And what the player initially perceived as a mission to stop the paintress reveals itself to be something much deeper, a confrontation with sorrow, denial, and the cost of memory. Aline's painted world is not just a sanctuary, it's a prison built from grief. Through it, she tries to protect not only the memory of her son, but also the fragments of her fractured family. Expedition 33 uses this supernatural framing to explore the very real emotional truths, making grief not just a theme, but the emotional engine that powers the entire experience. But they say time can heal all wounds, but there is also such a thing as the burden of time itself. Another significant theme explored throughout Expedition 33 is the burden of time, its oppressive weight, its unrelenting passage, and torturous stasis it imposes on the world and its characters. This theme is reflected in both the structure of the narrative and the haunting world design. At a broader level, the cynical nature of the gommage ritual and the reoccurring expeditions underscores the grim repetition that defines life in Lumiere. Scattered across the landscapes are the stone-carved corpses of past expeditioners, silent remnants of failed missions, their journeys, discoveries, and final thoughts, all left behind in fading journal logs, forever trapped to time. These remnants give the world an overarching melancholic tone, one where survival is reduced to a slow crawl forward, clinging to memories and meaning. The overarching motif of time is embodied most powerfully in Verso, a character suspended between existence and memory. Verso continues to live not by choice but as a mechanism. His presence maintains the illusion of life in the painted world, fueling the grief of his mother, Aline, the paintress, who clings to his memory so fiercely that she traps him and the entire continent within a static, painted stasis. Verso is more than just a character, he is a metaphor for legacy itself. The world of Expedition 33 exists inside one of the childhood paintings Verso created, making this canvas both a literal world and a prison of sentimentality. The version of Verso we meet in this painted recreation, an echo of a child long gone, yet within the painted realm he remains conscious, aware of the futility of the expeditioner's efforts and his own role in maintaining a fantasy that has long outlived its purpose. This reaches an emotional apex in the game's finale, when the player is presented with a critical choice: preserve the world with Maelle or allow it to fade with Verso. Choosing Maelle means sustaining the illusion. She wants to remain in the canvas, avoiding the pain of loss by embracing a fantasy where everyone gets a happy ending. But in doing so, she denies herself closure and prevents the world that she is from, the real world, from progressing, and her and her family from being able to move forward. It's a beautiful dream, but one rooted in avoidance. Verso's path, on the other hand, is a harder truth. Choosing him results in a dissolution of the canvas, and with it, the end of the world as it exists. His decision is driven by a desire to end the cycle of grief that his family has endured, and by a personal plea to finally be allowed to rest. The final moment of his route is poignant. Verso walks away with the silhouette of his younger self, the child who quietly has been painting throughout the game. Verso saying one sentence to him saying, "You do not need to paint anymore." And in that moment, both the legacy and memory of Verso are laid to rest. This ending speaks to Expedition 33's ultimate meditation, that moving on is not about forgetting, but about finding peace with what has been lost. Letting go becomes an act of love, and in doing so, the world and the people within it are finally free from the cruel stasis, and in turn, others, the Desirande family, are able to let go.
I envy them. Those who can't see, those who know not that they are not, and those who live, blithe and free, sins forgotten, and thus absolved, a fresh dawn in their playground, while we live in shadows, swimming in ink.
As previously touched on, grief is a powerful thread woven throughout Expedition 33, but it is not the game's central theme. Rather, grief serves as an emotional conduit to something deeper: the ability to let go. This theme comes into full clarity during the final act of the game, where Expedition 33 offers the player a choice that defines not just the ending, but the meaning behind the entire journey. The choice is deceptively simple. Do you side with Maelle or Verso? But the implications are profound. We've touched on this earlier, but choosing Maelle means preserving the painted world. In doing so, you knowingly fall deeper into a fabricated reality, clinging to an illusion that cannot last. This choice, although understandable, denies Verso the peace he so desperately seeks. It's a decision rooted in emotional self-preservation, a refusal to face pain of loss, and even at the cost of prolonging someone else's suffering. Choosing Verso, on the other hand, means embracing the difficult truth that this world must end, that Verso must be allowed to rest, and that his family must finally be released from their grief. His route isn't about erasure, it's about resolution. It is about acknowledging that the past, no matter how cherished, cannot be preserved forever. That sometimes love means letting go. This theme reverberates across the entire narrative, from the mantras recited by the expeditioners to the stories of the loved ones they carry with them. The idea of moving forward is ever present. Every party member is motivated by loss, each one holding onto a memory that defines their motivations and reason to keep going forward. But their arc, their development, and yours as a player isn't about holding onto those memories tighter. It's about learning when and how to let go. Verso's ending encapsulates this perfectly. It allows him peace, and more importantly, it gives his family a path forward. In the final scene, Alicia, Maelle's real-world counterpart, watches as the characters of his painted world bid her farewell. They scatter like ashes on the wind in what could be one last gamage. It's a beautifully understood moment of closure, one that acknowledges the weight of the journey whilst signaling a willingness to move forward. She accepts reality, but she doesn't forget the experience, and neither will you. Which brings us to the most intimate layer of Expedition 33. You, the player. So much of what Maelle experienced mirrors what you feel. She's a bright-eyed, full of purpose, and learns about the truths of this world at the same pace as you. Her motivations, fears, and doubts become your own. By the end, your bond with her is so strong that the decision feels almost personal. You want to give her a happy ending. You want the whole team, the party members, to all feel like they get this ending they deserve. This journey feels like it's putting an end to this misery and bringing back prosperity. You want to believe that the painted world can be saved, but deep down you understand what must be done. That's what makes choosing Verso so difficult and so meaningful. The game just doesn't ask Maelle to let go, it asks you to do the same. The game is asking you to let go of this world, the friendships, the stories, the campfires, the mysteries, all the moments that you've spent in this world, and you've probably spent hours upon hours. I spent like at least 50, and I still had stuff left to do. If you've done all of this content and you make your way to the end, you've probably spent like tens of hours to like up to 100. You could have just gotten lost in this world, and in this final moment you are getting asked to just let go and let this world be erased. This world that you've become, much like Aline and Maelle, so attached to. But in doing so, I think with this asking and proposal, Expedition 33 offers one final truth. Letting go isn't the end, it's the beginning of something new. The memories, they remain. Your time with the game remains. The impact endures, but the journey, as all must, comes to a close. It's time to let go. Hey, thanks for watching. This video was a fun one to make, and I had so much to say about Expedition 33. It's a game that's just been with me ever since I finished it, and I wanted to make a review where I didn't spoil the game, but I just couldn't not talk about that story because I thought this thing is just something else, man. So I did my best to articulate my thoughts here, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider giving us a like and subscribe, and let us know down below how you're feeling about the game. Are you still making your way through it? I mean, I hope not if you're watching this video. And if you have finished it, how do you feel about the ending, the conclusion, many of the different things that happened throughout the game, the characters? What were your favorite moments? Did the conclusion resonate with you? Did you feel like you wanted more? Like how did you find Expedition 33? Thanks again for watching this video, and I will have a new video out soon regarding Doom Eternal and then Doom the Dark Ages. Until then though, I will see you in the next video. Take care, have